So there it is, the evolution of Michael Phelps. This is Sifu Slim, and I'm happy to bring you a message about wellness and recreation. So I was astounded to find out by watching this documentary on Michael Phelps that the worst happened to him. Some years ago, he was depressed. He had thoughts of ending his life. And then he finally went into a rehabilitation center. And what do they do in a rehabilitation center? Well, there's lots of sitting. They try to get some movement going as well in a lot of places, but there's a lot of sitting. Group therapy, small meetings, counseling. You've heard of the couch, the psychologist's couch, the psychiatrist's couch. So that's a lot of thinking, meditating, praying, reading, being with other people. Some of these things are very positive. Many of those things are very positive. However, the big problem, sedentary behavior. So what I did over the last 10 years is I wrote a book and a follow-up book that'll be coming out at some point also about sedentary behavior. The book is entitled Sedentary Nation. The answers are not found in the new millennium, they're in 1910. So this book talks about the evolution of physical behavior from the oldest fossil of the first upright walking thing that's been found, the non-apes they're called, and then all the way up to the couch potato, desk potato, car potato, or the rehab potato. So this is the big problem that I see. So the challenge that I issued in YouTube back in 2009 to Michael Phelps was not to win. I was 48 at the time, non-sedentary behavior, even though I'm a writer. I do lots of sitting, standing in a fixed place, working on in recline in my car, and lying in bed with the laptop on a special cushion in my waist area. So it's not the best of all worlds. However, as a writer, you have to figure out how you're going to do it. And I think what I've come up with is about the best that I can do to change body positions and not overstress one individual part of my anatomy. So sedentary behavior and how to overcome that are things that I feel I've developed an expertise in. And at 53 now, just got done with a 2-hour workout. Well, guess what? The first hour of the workout was acupressure with a staff. So I was alleviating biomechanical problems in my fascia and my muscle tissue and my nerves and kinks, which come from lots of living. You know, normal living develops these things that are called deficiencies. And so that's what I did. So I had to relieve this myofascial problems and make my body feel happy before I could actually do the workout, which was pretty heavy duty today. Today involves some push-ups from a decline position where I'm doing some functional training movement on my way down and up. And so that was one of the hard parts. I did many things, and then at the end, I finished off with sprints on an incline. So I did the decline push-ups, many other upper body exercises, lots of abs, and then finally at the end, this is about a 2-hour deal this morning, I got into sprinting with good form, and thankfully all the stuff that I did previous to that allowed me to do the sprints with good form and get a great workout and dump some HGH, human growth hormone, which my body is doing from my glandular system into my body and my bloodstream, so my muscles and other organisms can use that. My other organs can use that testosterone to build muscle and build tissue. So non-sedentary behavior, and if you want to take a look at that, sedentarynation.com. The books are on Amazon and some other sources. So my challenge to Michael Phelps back in 2009 was with the aging process, if you can keep up, not performance fitness, not winning, but maintenance, recreation, enjoyment, connection to nature, connection to you, mind, body, and spirit, see if you can keep up with that. Well, unfortunately, I was the person who challenged him. I don't know if he saw the video or not, but his life went downhill. Imagine that. You've got money, you've got accolades from fans, you've got a good family around you, and even with all that, you're not feeling fulfilled. Well, that's a very common problem with the aging athlete. I wrote another book called The Aging Athlete. I've been studying that subject since 2009. I've interviewed over 500 people who were high school, college, pro, military, Broadway dancers, even general contractors, high performance physical people. And what I found is that less than 10% of these high performance physical people maintain regular physical activity after the last whistle blows, or in the case of general contractors, after that last ladder climb. In the case of military, after they leave the military service, they get discharged. So those are the problems, less than 10%. So was this going to happen to Michael Phelps? The odds are 90% that he was going to become sedentary. So I knew that when I made that challenge in 2009, but I wanted him to be one of the 10. And he still may be. But his life almost ended over the last few years because of many things, but stress and sedentary behavior, they're related. Your brain is affected by what you do to the body, like in the reverse, what you do to the body affects the brain and your thought processes. So how do we do this? How do we do this life in the busy modern world? Well, my advice to Michael is you have to move from a standpoint of hard training and winning to a time of maintenance, connection to nature, being more balanced, enjoyment in the physical activity. Now, you know Michael enjoys winning. Can he enjoy just going out and having fun? Well, the grounding that he's going to get from his child is almost guaranteed to do that. If you embrace the child and you see what the child does and you play and you recreate with the child and your spouse, you're going to enjoy life and you're going to keep moving. Now, if you reject that, what the child's about, and you tell them to sit still, like the teachers in school, you better sit still all day for 6 or 7 or 8 hours, and so you can be a good student and listen to all these things that the videos on the screen say, and the worksheets say, and I say, and the textbook says, you should sit still and do all of those things. Does that make any sense? No, it does not make any sense. Unfortunately, that's the paradigm we're working in. So let's take a look at other famous people who are either athletes or non-athletes. Elvis Presley, very athletic body. Michael Phelps, incredible body for a swimmer. But as far as an all-around athlete, Elvis has a better body. He's not as gangly. If you took Elvis out and you taught him 10 sports when he was 12 years old to age 26, did the same thing with Michael, my guess is that Elvis would have been a better athlete in those 10 sports than Michael Phelps. It's because Michael Phelps has a body that's designed for a few key things. Swimming, terrific. He could have probably done jiu-jitsu, great body for jiu-jitsu, and maybe basketball and some other things. But look at Elvis. I mean, you can imagine Elvis as a tennis player. You can see Elvis as a dancer. You can see Elvis even doing gymnastics. Back in the day, they weren't these 4'11" gymnasts like some of the women are in the current Olympics. They were, more middle-sized people back in the 1950s when Elvis was in his prime. So I would have picked Elvis even over Michael Jackson. So Michael Jackson, incredible mover. Let's look at Elvis, and then we'll switch to Michael Jackson. So Elvis, what brought Elvis down? In my opinion, sedentary behavior. He stopped performing. He stopped working on new material. He became a caricature of his former self, started solving his problems with booze, alcohol, women, flagrant violations of having a balanced life. Now, you want to keep dancing, you want to recreate, sex is fine, but you got to keep all this stuff in balance. Now let's switch over to Michael Jackson. What happened to him? Well, Michael Jackson could move his body like no one else in the history of TV and film, right? Frank Sinatra, incredible at singing, not a great mover of his body. And you've got other great dancers along the way, Fred Astaire. Now, Fred Astaire and Michael Jackson, I mean, what a combination. Hard to pick who could move their body better. If you look at Fred Astaire in the videos, his body moves perfectly. Gene Kelly, on the other hand, using lots of strength, force, and athleticism, so he was not, in the opinion of many people who study biomechanics, as efficient a mover as Fred Astaire was. So now let's look at Michael Jackson. What brought him down? In my opinion, same thing as Elvis, sedentary behavior, had sleep disorders, had stress disorders, got into trouble with the law, and it brought him down. So you start to internalize, you become more neurotic. We do not want to be neurotic. What's the easiest way to stop being neurotic? Quick, what do you think? If you're living in your mind, what do? Well, you get out of your mind, you start living more in the body. You get them in sync, the mind, the body, the spirit, your karma, your history, the love of others. You bring that all in, and that's what keeps you moving. So we've done Elvis. What happened to Elvis? Went downhill, started doing some martial arts. There's videos on YouTube showing him doing martial arts in a flabby state, inebriated. He was an alcoholic. He was a drug addict. He was a sex addict. Not a great way to go. Very nice person, very giving person. Muhammad Ali, very giving person. What happened to him? Sedentary behavior, and then all the damage he did through heavy training, and more damage in the sparring probably than in his fights, because he got blasted in both, but he was sparring for 3 months, 2 months before his fights, and that gave him lots of damage and internal organ damage, etc. Became very sedentary in his later life. You know, starting when he in his 20s, he was already becoming sedentary. So sedentary behavior will bring you down. Out of all these people who lived until they were 80, there's only one out of the Elvis, Frank Sinatra, Michael Jackson, and a couple other people that we mentioned. Who was the only person? Frank Sinatra. Why? Because he kept working on his game. He worked on his singing, his writing, his performing with his orchestra, and almost until the time that he passed away. He was not a health-conscious person for most of his life. In his generation, there was lots of carousing if you were famous, booze, smoking, being in smoky clubs with other people. So what, staying out late at night, which many of these other people I mentioned have done. So what was the difference in Sinatra? Stimulation from working on his profession. He did that in, almost until the time that he passed away. He made it past the age of 80. Sinatra has the winning formula out of all these people we've just mentioned. So my challenge to Michael Phelps, tap into Sinatra's part of it. So if you're going to be a professional athlete, train to be a professional athlete. If you're going to be a spokesperson for things that have to do with wellness, well, maintain your wellness. If you want to have a good life, maintain your wellness. So your motivation used to be winning, the one W, okay? You take that, the W, and now you mix in wellness. If you want to keep motivated, be motivated about wellness. Enjoy your time with your family, with your friends. Do recreational activities. Don't hang out on the couch and flip channels and do what modern people do, which is play video games. It's ridiculous. Do that once a week. That's ridiculous. Come on. You don't need video games to have a good life. You're doing that because you think it's fun and it gets to be addicting, and then all of a sudden you're doing it daily. You're doing it more hours per day. Not a good way to go. Lesson from your mother. Okay, Mrs. Phelps, I am sure you're a professional at what you do. I know the principal's lifestyle. Lots of meetings, lots of being responsible, calls to the parents, dealing with staff members. It's crazy schedule. You have to tune that out. To be mind, body, and spirit balanced, you have to get away. You need time out in nature, barefoot, grounded to the earth. Now, those are some of the things that I think would benefit you, Mrs. Phelps. Getting balanced. Now, if you want to live a long life and see your grandkids, what are you going to do? Less sedentary behavior, more physical activity. Doesn't have to be hard, but has to be regular movement, during the day movement, and dropping some weight, because I already know you are insulin resistant and leptin intolerant. Look those two things up. You probably already know about them. Look into those and live a balanced life. So I'm Sifu Slim, coming across with all I've got today, firing on all cylinders, and I'm excited. I'm excited for Michael's future. I'm excited to see him look long term. I have this ability to look long term. That's the way I was wired. You were wired to be this great athlete. I love being a maintenance athlete. That means taking care of your body so it does not break down and that it performs as you need it to. So 18 forever, that's my goal. Not going to win any gold medals unless I'm 60 and they throw me out there and they say, compare yourself at age 60 with yourself at age 18. Do you get a gold medal for being able to do the things that you were able to do at 18? For the most part, I can still do those things. Thank God. And it was all because of maintenance and enjoyment and recreation. It wasn't because of some hardcore coach that I had. The hardcore coaches helped me in certain areas, but they did not give me wellness. And wellness is what keeps me going. Do you like to feel well? Ask yourself that. So I'm Sifu Slim, wishing you all the best. Michael Phelps, when he was in that rehabilitation center, the punchline of this whole thing is, how did he find his balance? Well, they had a pool at the rehabilitation center, and what did he do? He went out to that pool and he started moving. And he says this in this documentary, The Evolution of Michael Phelps. Take a look at that. You'll see what he did in the pool. It was a short pool. Here's a guy who swims in a 50-meter pool. This pool is less than 1/3 the size of that. So he goes out and has to figure out what to do. And the first thing that he did, he's moving his molecules around. He's getting blood flow, oxygenating the brain. His body's responding, and he rebuilds himself into the athlete he is in the 2016 Olympics, where he's already won a few gold medals, and we'll see if he keeps going. So I'm excited for you, Michael. Have a great life. Think maintenance, and check out my books, The Aging Athlete, at theagingathlete.com, and on Amazon and some other sources, and Sedentary Nation. Same thing, sedentarynation.com. Wishing you all the best in a life of wellness, recreation, balance, and tribal living. Think like the tribe, think like old school people. Learn about nature and how to become one with your environment so we can mutually support each other. Wouldn't that be nice? So we need to do something to do that, to help the nature out and help our thriving in the balance of the ecosystem. We'll talk about that on another video. Blessings to you. Aloha, shalom, right on, hallelujah. Sifu Slim, over and out. Peace.